Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, is the second Austin Powers film. This was released in 1999. It's directed by Jay Roach. It's written by Mike Myers and Michael McCullers. And we have a cast including, of course, Mike Myers, who plays Austin Powers in Dr. Evil, and he also plays a character called Fat Bastard. We also have Heather Grimm, Michael York, Seth Green, Elizabeth Hurley, Woody Harrelson very briefly at one point. And it's because of Woody Harrelson that I watched this. It's because of Woody Harrelson that I watched the first film. And I actually watched these two back to back because I really thoroughly enjoyed the first film. I wasn't expecting to, didn't sound like my kind of thing, and I actually rather loved it, so I was really excited to watch the second film. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it as much. I don't think it was anywhere near as interesting. I'd say it was as creative, maybe, but I didn't find it as fascinating. With this one, Austin Powers ends up going back to the 60s because Dr. Evil has gone back to the 60s to steal Austin Powers' mojo, which of course makes him the way he is or who he is. And I think that as a narrative worked quite well. It makes it a little bit different from the first film, so I think that was a really good idea. There are some funny moments in it. There's one, well, actually, I'll save it. I'll mention it at the end. I guess it's a spoiler for a teeny tiny thing that's quite funny, but I will mention something that made me laugh out loud. But it's a very self-aware film, as the first one is. I just didn't think it was as fun as the first film or as interesting, but it's not bad. It is creative, it is clever, the performances are brilliant, the characters are very well written. Fat Bastard is okay. Mini-Me is quite interesting. Mini-Me is one of the characters I was aware of before watching the film. I've been aware of Mini-Me for many years. I don't know why. I guess Mini-Me is often appearing in clip shows or I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why I was aware of Mini-Me as a character. I was obviously aware of Austin Powers and Dr. Evil, but I don't think I had any knowledge of Fat Bastard as a character. But there were a few elements of the film that I was aware of that I'd seen for some reason over the years. But I definitely didn't know what to expect from the main narrative, and I don't think it was as good. And to be fair, sequels are often not as good as the first film, but there are exceptions, and I still don't think it's a bad film. I just don't think it's quite the quality of the first film. The performances are very good, the characters are well written, the costumes look good. Visually, it is a very appealing film, and it definitely is very creative. And I won't mention what Woody Harrelson's involvement is, but I have to say it was a very, very well written part of the film. It was very cleverly done and pretty amusing. So, in general, I have no complaints. I didn't like it as much as the first film, but I thought it was still a pretty good experience. And I'm not going to rush to watch the third film. I watched these two back to back, the first and the second, and I probably will watch the third one at some point. I don't know anything about the third film. If anybody wants to suggest that it's actually really great and worth prioritising, please feel free to encourage me to watch it sooner rather than later, but I'm definitely not going to watch it back to back with this one. But that aside, it's a decent film. The Spy Who Shagged Me is still a really great experience. Not quite as good as the first film, but I rather liked it. And I will now mention just one thing that really, really amused me. It's probably not even that funny, but I rather liked it. So this is a teeny tiny spoiler for something that I think is quite funny. And they're driving along in the car, and there's this remark that it's funny how England looks nothing like Southern California. And the whole thing was filmed in Southern California. And I found that amusing because there are many, many films that claim to be set in a certain location, and it's so obvious that it's not set in that location. And I like the fact that they were just very aware of that. I found it to be quite amusing. So definitely some really great aspects to the film. Not as enjoyable for me as the first film, but I'm glad I watched the first film. Because honestly, had I watched this one, originally I was going to, because I only wanted to watch it for Woody Harrelson. And I was going to just watch this one and forget about the first film. And I thought, well, let's give the first one a go. What have I got to lose? And I'm really glad I did that, because I probably wouldn't have watched the first film after watching this, at least not immediately. So I'm happy with the way I did it. I obviously recommend watching the first film first. And in general, I'm pleased to say that while The Spy Who Shagged Me wasn't quite as great as the first film, it's still pretty decent.